Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. You've been stuck on sewer duty now for the best part of 2 weeks, and you don't think you're ever going to get this smell out from your armour, let alone your hair. It's a rank job, this kind of blue BPN, but at least it's regular credits, at least until your squad qualifies for something a little more high level. Blueprint news, BPNs, a slip of paper fed out of a machine. You're not sure who's behind it, you're not sure who decides what gets allocated to whom, but blue BPN, sewer duty. Make sure that the stream keeps flowing smoothly and that no carnivorous pigs block the passage. Well, you've been down here for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks, near enough. You've not seen hind nor hare, nor bristle, nor trotter of carnivorous pig. Oh, you've had your run-ins, you and your squad. You've had your run-ins. There was a small family of cannibals. You managed to scare them off. There was no point in engaging them. They weren't threatening enough, not nearly threatening enough. The remains of a carrion flowed by one morning. That was a treat. There was another time where you saw a dismembered leg in the water. You wondered who it might belong to. You asked your squad leader, should we bag it and tag it? He said, no, let it go, let it go. We're not here for that. We're just making sure that the sewage keeps flowing. Thing is, when you're on a BPN for this long, you think it must have been 11 days now. Yeah, 11 days. Well, squads get lazy, and you start thinking, we don't need the full 4, 5 slop contingent down here. SLA operatives have got better things to do. And you agreed completely. Why not start taking it in shifts? So after the first 5 days, you cut your numbers down. Then it was 2 people on one shift, 3 people on the other. Still nothing. Still nothing. Still no carnivorous pigs, still no blockage. And you got to day 8. Or was it day 9? Time just seems to disappear past you when you're down in the sewer. Well, that's when you decided, let's go on one-person shifts. The rest of the squad can have the time off. You know, we'll do a one-person shift for a few hours, then another person comes on. The rest of you can do things like trying to earn sponsorship deals, the occasional side BPN or mission, a contract maybe, you know, take on a hunter sheet, something to pass the time and build up the credit balance while waiting for this blue BPN to elapse. And so now, here you are, down here, alone, sure that nothing is going to come flowing down this pipe. Nothing that could ruin your day, ruin your chances of ever taking on one of those glorious silver media BPNs. Certainly not. No, you're just left picking sewage out from under your fingernails, hoping and praying that the next hour goes by swiftly, because in an hour your relief will arrive. You've been picking at your fingernails for so long that you missed the fact that the channel of sewage stopped flowing probably about 10 minutes ago. You only really notice because the air suddenly gets drier, hotter. You look around. Is it darker in here? I mean, there's lamps fixed into the sewer outlet. It's one of the better sewers in downtown, to be quite honest. There's often no lighting down here at all. Yeah, there's something hot down here, and it's not you, and the sewage has stopped. Maybe against your better judgment, you get up and you start walking in the direction of, well, where the sewage should be flowing. As you get closer, there's a different kind of smell on the air. It's not sewage anymore, it's meat. And there's a sound up there, and it's not the flow of effluvia. It's a snuffling, a snorting, a growling, a choking. You make a fatal error. You flip on the lamp which you have on your shoulder, mounted to your armour. It illuminates the threat up the pipe ahead of you, and you've never felt more alone, but don't worry. You won't be feeling anything very soon. Welcome to SLA Industries. SLA Industries, 2nd edition. One of the first videos I ever made on this YouTube channel way back when was a review of SLA Industries, because one of the first reasons the reason I even came onto YouTube, I think maybe the first time ever, was to look for a review of SLA Industries. It was completely by accident. I had been reading reviews of SLA Industries. I already owned it, but I wanted to read other people's opinions. And this was in about 2008 or 2009. So YouTube was pretty young back then. And I didn't know that people were making YouTube videos about RPGs. And I just decided, for whatever reason, to type in SLA Industries review into YouTube, and what do you know, I found one. There was a YouTuber by the name of Captain Machine who had made a video review of SLA Industries, first edition. And I remember when I watched it, incredibly arrogant as I was, and arguably still am, I could do a better job than that. And so I started making videos about RPGs. That is exactly why I started doing it. That's how this channel was born. Now here we are, SLA Industries 2nd edition. It's been a long road to get here. SLA Industries has been through the hands of many different companies, many different developers and producers, and now it's firmly back in the hands of Dave Allsop and Jared Earl and a wonderful team of creators. And it is so wonderful to see it back there too, because this game has never felt more alive, more vibrant, more colourful. SLA Industries 2nd edition, and I love the art in 1st edition, but the artwork in 2nd edition is just so fantastic. It shows a real maturing of Dave Allsop's art style, along with the other artists who are featured in this book. And the writing itself has not lost any of the wit, any of the scathing, cutting humour that was present in the 1st edition. I mean, it's still a horribly bleak game. It's still a horror game, but it is darkly humorous in a way that has often been said is uniquely Glaswegian. I'm not sure about that, but I am certain that it echoes some of its creator's sensibilities. SLA Industries is a dark neo-capitalist hellscape. And note I keep saying SLA Industries. It's because it's named after the founder of the company, this hyper-corporation that dominates the known universe, the world of progress, as that universe is called, Mr. Slayer, whose face can be found on the front of this version of the rulebook. Yeah, he's an odd-looking fellow, I think you'll agree. And SLA Industries is this hyper-capitalist group that controls what you watch, what you eat, what your transport is, where you live, and the fact that your player characters are recruited, trained, and sent out on deployment as SLA operatives. Sent out to keep the peace, kill enemies of SLA Industries and Mort City, and otherwise become celebrities, big damn heroes, within a certain point of view. The majority of civilians you encounter are going to be couch-bound, TV-addicted slobs. The world of Mort City does not allow for much more than that. If you live in downtown, congratulations, you're entitled to coupons for the food, the TV never goes off, and, well, that's your life. Enjoy your time in downtown. You might aspire to more, but you'll probably find yourself bumping into a serial killer, being held up by a gang, being snatched up by a cannibal family, or otherwise drowning in the permanent rainfall, sometimes incredibly corrosive rainfall that is perpetually falling on Mort City and its inhabitants. SLA operatives are armed. They are armoured with particularly weak armor, admittedly, when they graduate from any university, and they are sent on BPNs. This is what your player characters do. You collect a BPN, and usually for your first mission you do it from Slayer's Crib, a huge guild hall-like structure, a job centre basically, in Uptown, where you get your first BPN, and then you read it excitedly with your squad, and it says, sewer duty, street maintenance, or pacify these civilians. It's a blue BPN. We'll have 100 credits to share between. Maybe we can cut down to 4 instead of 5. Yeah, you join another squad. And at that point, you're off to the races. Now, if you do well, if you complete your BPN with enough glamour and flourish, then you may well ascend to take on different BPNs. White investigation BPNs, yellow retrieval BPNs, hell, maybe even a green off-world BPN. That sounds very exciting, doesn't it? Red danger emergency BPNs, or the suicide mission that pays the best, the black BPN that will probably send you out to one of the canal sectors or deep, deep down below downtown in Mort City, where alien things dwell and breed. This is not a game of much light. This is a game of cynicism. This is a game where you are playing the capitalist enterprises off against each other. You are courting sponsors, so you can basically go into a mission dressed up like a NASCAR with labels and branded weaponry, wanting to be caught on camera that you could always mount on your own shoulder, of course, killing the most things possible with your chain axe in the goriest way possible so that you can then say, "Hi, Ma, I made it on TV." That footage will then be sent off to Third Eye News or some other godforsaken network in Mort City, and it might make you a star. All of this is explained in the core rulebook for SLA Industries 2nd edition. I appreciate we're 10 minutes in and I'm just talking about the setting right now, but all of this is presented in the core book. It is a wonderful setting. You know, it's part Running Man, part, I suppose, well, you know what, Running Man is actually a pretty good frame of reference, I think. There's elements of The Crow to it as well in terms of its, I guess, neo-Gothic architecture and the permanent rainfall to it too. And the aesthetic is really on point. I mentioned the art before. SLA Industries is just one of the most stunning books. I just love to read it. To look at the art, but also because it's just fun to read. And that really marks a role-playing game above others for me. If I can sit there and read a rule book and not get tired because I'm just staring at system after system, it's a good rule book. Now, on the subject of system, I mentioned this system in Stokerverse's review, so if you haven't checked that out, do go back to it. I go into it in more detail there. But in brief, it's a D10 system, not a dice pool system so much. It is a D10 system where, if we take, for example, that you are aiming your rifle and you are wanting to gun your carnivorous pig down, well, the first thing you do is roll 1d10 and you will be adding it to your overall bonus. Your bonus is your ranks in that skill plus your relevant attribute. So you roll 1d10, you add your bonus. Normal difficulty is a 10. If you exceed the 10, congratulations, you hit. Now, how many ranks do you have in that skill? Let's say you've got 3 ranks in rifle. Well, if you roll 3d10, you will add your bonus to each of them now. This will basically equate to things like additional damage, whether you blow off a limb, whether you hit it in the head. The more successes you get with your ranks, your skill dice, the better you do. The system is as simple as that. However, the combat is quite involved, and I say this as a fan of the SLA Industries combat system. For 2nd edition in particular, I feel it has been streamlined a little, but I think mostly where SLA Industries 2nd edition does it better than 1st edition is in explanation. 1st edition got a bit bogged down. I still loved it, but it got a bit bogged down. 2nd edition is very clear in what you must do, which is you go through your initiative first. And after you've gone through initiative and detected who got better than everyone else, you then go from the slowest person, who announces what they intend to do, all the way through to the fastest person. Because the faster you are, the more you can basically cut off the slowest person's action. In other words, if someone says with their turn they want to shoot at you, and you're going faster than them, you can dedicate your action to disarming them. Now, they'll still get an action in their turn, even if you're successful, but they will be at significant penalties because they can no longer carry out the action they declared. So there's this almost V-shape initiative, which is really quite an interesting thing to play around with, especially when thinking tactically. And beyond that, you can get into the, of course, things like encumbrance and ammo counting. I'd say ammo counting is one of the most interesting aspects of SLA Industries, which is a very rare piece of praise for me for any role-playing game. But the reason being because it ties into the capitalistic nature of Mort City, the setting that most of your games are going to be finding themselves in. Bullets cost a fortune. Bullets, there is a tax applied to them. Therefore, if you're going for very low difficulty BPNs, you're going to be earning just enough to replenish your ammo stock and then going back out there again. So a lot of SLA operatives are going to be obliged to use melee weapons. They look better on camera, or the effects of hitting an enemy with them do, or indeed you being demolished when you try and stab an abomination with a vibro blade. That always looks good on camera, even if it isn't very good for you. So yeah, I think the system complements the setting. It has a certain hardness to it that I think is satisfying to roll and to narrate, whether you're the GM or whether you're a player. You know, you can basically see the results, and that should immediately tell you what your outcome is, which doesn't leave a great deal of room for, I guess, nebulousness. And in some games, I really appreciate that. You know, I like having narrative power, but at the same time, I like it when the results are directly telling me what they mean. And in SLA Industries, there's no doubt of that. So, all that said, would I recommend SLA Industries 2nd Edition? Yes, absolutely. I would say it's one of my favourite role-playing games going right now, and I absolutely adore it. And what's more, I adore the source books for it. There are some wonderful, absolutely fantastic source books for SLA Industries 2nd Edition, and you can find all of them on Drive-Thru-RPG. There is, or indeed on the Nightfall, that's the company behind SLA Industries, their website, where you can buy traditionally printed hardcovers of all these things. I very much recommend checking any of them. I love the Hunter Sheets books, because Hunter Sheets basically provide you with a ready-made antagonist that you can center an entire BPN around, or a contract if you want to hunt them down. There's the Collateral book that deals with all kinds of things from gangs and cannibals, scavs, ex-war criminals, and more. There's a lot of material out there. Even the old 1st edition stuff, while some of it is no longer considered canon, it is still very readable, very fun. All the books like Karma and the Contract Directory and so forth. But for my money right now, I'd recommend, if you're looking for some dystopia, if you're looking for some near future horror where you can play alien species alongside humans, where the violence is bloody and the media wants to court that kind of activity, do check out SLA Industries 2nd Edition. I think you will have a lot of fun with it, and I would love to hear your comments, or see your comments. If you have played SLA Industries before, tell me what you think of it, and yeah, I'll give it a read and a reply. Thank you very much for watching.